Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag, the digital tiny room. It is summertime and the living is easy, Benjamin. Welcome back. How are you, Benjamin?
Michael, the living is categorically not easy.
It is summertime, Ben, and the living is grueling and unforgiving. But that is less interesting as a lyric.
Unrelenting is what I want to say myself, Michael.
Unrelenting, Benjamin. Benjamin.
Yeah.
I was watching a TV show this week as part of our topic, and it had one of the greatest lines of all time. So I'm going to redo your introduction now, using that line. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the co-host who has been called the man who's the next of kin to chaos. It's Benjamin Cullopy.
They call me when chaos takes a dirt nap. It's bloody me.
He's here and he's causing trouble. He's classic trickster.
Johnny Chaos.
Ben, stop spinning your wheels. Do the theme tune. I'm trying to feed you anything, Ben, that resembles a segue into the theme tune.
Oh, well, the main way I cause chaos is through my beautiful voice, Michael.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have anything music.
Very good, very strong, very amusing. I think you've raised a titter. Ben, it is summertime and the living is grueling and unforgiving. But boy, is the drought over, Ben. The drought is over.
The content drought, Michael.
Yeah, content is back. They say, Ben, content is king. And in that case, this is Lord of the Rings Part 3, The Return of the King. The king in this case
Michael,
being
very
content.
good.
Yes, thank you.
Such pop culture layering, Michael.
Like so many layers, Ben. I'm like a pop culture onion. I'm like a pop culture Shrek. Benjamin, have you ever heard the song Smash Mouth?
I'm sure there's a drinking game in there somewhere, Michael, from Lord of the Rings to Shrek, a game in 7 steps.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, we're drowning in stuff again.
Drowning in it, Ben. Drowning in it.
There's loads of stuff. The garden is soaked with stuff.
Before we even go any further, Ben, we haven't even planned for this, but did you see the latest trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong? They're going to have a fight.
Yeah, they're two guys and they're pretty big and they don't like each other.
The villain appears to have been revealed, Ben, in the latest trailer.
Oh, who's the villain?
It's Godzilla.
Oh, Mecha Boy.
Yeah, he's a big robot and he's coming to get you. And his thunder has been stolen by that show, that film where everyone was video games. What was that called?
Bloody classic, bloody Ready Player One, Michael.
Ready Player One, yeah. It's not called Everyone's Video Games.
Everyone's video game.
But it looks like Mechagodzilla. And it's out, Ben. That film is out in some territories, in cinemas.
What do you mean it's out?
Godzilla vs. Kong is out. It's showing in some territories in cinemas now. The territories that have cinemas where the summertime is not as grueling.
It still is grueling. They're just ignoring the safety precautions.
Yeah. Same thing, Ben. Ben, what's the bigger danger? COVID or not seeing the seminal action film Godzilla vs. Kong?
Not seeing the seminal film Godzilla vs.
Think about that for a second. So that's out, Ben. So we'll be seeing that next week.
Will we?
Yes, it's out next week on HBO.
It is cinema near us.
Yeah.
There are no cinemas anymore, Michael. Of course, we are in the streaming wasteland. Speaking of things coming to HBO, Michael.
Very good. What a segue.
You sent me a little trailer this week, Michael. And what it is, Michael, is a Victorian era kind of setting.
Yeah.
And it's got some magical folks in it.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And oh boy, there's a lot of social tension caused by those magic folks.
Carnival Row, is it?
It's bloody Carnival Row. No, I'm just joking, Michael. But it does star another beloved English actor, bloody Nick Frost, being all serious and Londony.
He's in it, and he's got a switchblade, Ben, or a razor blade, and he's going to chop your face off. I've met Nick Frost.
I will cut your face up. Whoa.
He's very small, Nick Frost.
Yeah. But he does a good job. He's still rather imposing, Michael.
He's not. I've met him, Ben. He's very small.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Never mind.
He's a very small little fella. He's a very pleasant man. But what he's doing in this is acting.
Oh, acting. Jeez,
Yes. Benjamin, were you excited by the trailer for the TV show The Nethers? The Nevers.
That was the joke I was going to make. You stole it, Jinko.
I didn't mean to.
That was going to make. You
son
of a bitch.
That was a slip of the tongue. I actually just made a mistake there, man.
Yes, I'm very excited about HBO show The Nethers, but then I looked up what it's about, and it's not about what I thought it's about at all, Michael.
Very good. You've committed to that joke, even though I've ruined it, and I
There's
appreciate
ne'er
that.
but a nether in sight. Well, I'm sure there probably will. It's HBO. We're probably going to get something.
I don't think so, Ben, because this looks like it's about social issues in the Victorian times, but they're actually social issues from now.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly, Ben. Ben, it's the X-Men. It's the X-Men, but in the olden days in London.
Ye olde X-Men.
And they're ladies, the ex-ladies, but in the olden days in London.
Are they all ladies? They are.
No, it appears, Ben, that some of the touched... that's what they're called. That's what metahumans or mutants or whatever you want are called.
I'll be honest, Michael. With a name like the Nethers and the Touch, they're really skirting the line here.
They're very good, very very amusing because they'll be wearing high skirts because it's the Victorian era. Benjamin, it appears that they're the X-Men, but they're ladies, but they're in Victorian period.
X-Men ladies.
Yes, and they live in an orphanage together, and they have a mysterious benefactor who protects and trains them to use their newfound terrifying abilities.
Miss Peregrine's Home for Extraordinary Children.
It's Miss Peregrine's Home for Extraordinary Ex-Women, basically.
Okay.
It's Benjamin. I think the story behind the production is more interesting than the actual premise itself, because do you know what production studio is producing this?
I don't.
It is, Ben, Mutant Enemy.
Who's that?
It's Joss Whedon, Ben, your favorite
Oh,
director,
no!
and mine, Joshua Whedon.
Oh no!
Yeah, and funnily enough, what really tickled my wickle about this situation is that you didn't know that, and you didn't know that, Ben, because they've removed him from the promotional material. So
It's the end of the Whedon era.
knowing that it's written and produced by Joshua Whedon as well, you immediately start thinking Dollhouse, where, you know, people with mysterious powers are living in an orphanage together. It's Dollhouse times Buffy multiplied by X-Men crossed with Miss Peregrine's Home for Extraordinary Children plus Penny Dreadful with a sprinkle of Carnival Row on it.
There's some very large helpings of Penny Dreadful and Carnival Row there by the looks of things. So we've got a fiery lady.
Yeah, she's doing fire. She'll do a fire.
We've got a time-travelling lady.
Yeah. Classic.
Well, for Siri lady. This is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
quite a time-travelling lady. There looks to be... who's the Irish girl? What's she going to do?
There's two Irish ladies in it, Ben. The lead actress, the time-travelling lady, she's from Northern Ireland, Ben, or as you call it, Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah, and she is from Northern Ireland. So it's full of the Irish, this show. We might have to watch it just out of a sense of false patriotism.
Yes, a misplaced sense of nationalism, perhaps.
Yeah, that'll be what leads us to watch this. If the Irish characters... well, there's two ways it could go. She's either going to be very religious and pious, or she's going to be a down-on-her-luck prostitute like Billy Piper in...
Anything.
No! Oh yeah, I guess actually Billy
She
Piper
plays
plays
that
a
a lot.
prostitute a lot. Yeah, that's true.
She's been in a couple of shows that does that, Michael.
She generally plays a prostitute. That is interesting, actually. But Billy
been her
Piper
career
in Penny
path.
Dreadful. Yeah, Billy Piper in Penny Dreadful, where she played Brona, was it? The Irish down-on-her-luck prostitute with TB.
Yeah, remember the TB?
Yeah,
Don't
everyone had
forget
TB. Everyone had TB back then, Ben. I'm not terribly excited about this, Ben, but I'll watch an episode or two, I suppose.
I think it'll be intriguing, Michael. I feel like Carnival Row might have pipped them to the post, Michael. And now that you've highlighted the fact that it's written by one Joshua Whedon, or Josiah Whedon,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy it as much, because I'm going to see Whedon tropes and be like,
Very Whedon.
if there's a Victorian rave scene where he makes women dance in very awkward positions that don't come naturally to them for the sake of a good shot, I won't be very comfortable with that, Michael.
Just still watch it though, you creep.
Ugh.
Do you think that this exists as an artistic endeavour or just a way for Joss Whedon to get lots of women on set so he could bully them?
I would
Allegedly!
I would.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence.
I would heavily place money on the latter.
There's no evidence of
all,
that, Ben.
all Whedon shows are just a way to fulfill his fetish.
Ben, if I
Yes.
was Joss Whedon, what I would do is I'd make a whole new film with a new person, and then like make their character the central person, the central heart of the story, and then in the edit remove almost all of their role, cut them down essentially to a bit player. But I would make sure it was a white man, and then go, look, I'm always doing it.
I do it with everyone.
I'm always doing it.
I do not target people of colour in the slightest.
Yeah, look, I've done it to this fella, and this fella off the side gone, I feel this was a political move.
I've been used as a pawn.
Yeah. You know who it would be? It would be what's his face? The Irish fella, the little short Irish fella.
Oh, Barry Keoghan.
Oh yeah, okay. He's English, isn't he? But all right, let's go with him.
No, Barry Keoghan is Irish, very Irish.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right, good. Benjamin, is there anything else coming out that's more exciting?
Michael, speaking of things that are more exciting, we finally,
Yes.
Michael, finalmente,
Yes.
got the trailer for the long-awaited Suicide Squad.
Yes, I thought it was good, Ben.
Oh, Michael, the song that plays in that is from one of my favourite bands, which was passed out to me by my father because it's one of his favourite bands. It's Dirty Work by Steely Dan.
Right.
I'm a fool to do your dirty work. I don't want to do your dirty work no more.
That's very fitting because it's the Suicide Squad.
And it's filled with dirty work, Michael. Laundering and the likes. It's just stacked high with it. But anyway, I was playing it on the television and my father came in and he has no interest in superhero things, Michael. They don't intrigue him at all. But he heard his favourite band being played on the televisual box. And he came in and he was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a superhero film, but it's like an old 70s movie about war." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, and he's using Steely Dan in the soundtrack with a little intercutted modern music." "What?" And he was very intrigued, Michael. He was,
So your dad is going to... Oh, very good point, Ben, about nom 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 nom. That was my favourite moment of the entire trailer.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on, Michael.
When the big man who's also a shark, he goes, "I'm also a shark," and he goes, "Nom nom nom," and then he eats that presumably man with a
Poor
family.
guerrilla fighter of some kind.
Presumably that man had a family and then he got eaten by a man shark. But look, that's fine. You have
What
to
a way
accept
to
that
go.
in comic book violence. That's how you go sometimes. Sometimes you get blown apart with lasers. Sometimes you get eaten by a giant shark man.
Joel Kinnaman's on a real redemption arc here.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting that of all the characters in the previous one, he's the one that James Gunn has chosen to focus this story around. The blandest man from the previous one.
I guess it's a James Gunn. I like this guy. I'm going to help him out. Move, because Michael Rooker's there. Speaking of people that James Gunn always helps out, Michael Rooker is there as I can't remember the name of the character, but anyway, he's there. He joins the squad. I
like the shot, Ben, where he is in a orange jumpsuit with his long blonde hair, and it's implied that it's Harley Quinn.
Yeah, they kind of play on that a little bit.
It's Michael Rooker. Brilliant. Brilliant.
There's a few back. Viola Davis is back, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if she died in the previous one or not, to be honest.
She didn't, but she seems to be in the same position of power she was always in. There's no June Moon, though, Michael.
No, that's weird, isn't it? I wonder why.
There's no Snake Hips.
Snaky Snakes.
Snaky Snakes. There's none of that going on. Harley Quinn is obviously back due to the fact that you're not turning down Margot Robbie. You're not taking her out of your film.
No, she's the most popular character, Ben.
I enjoyed the 5 seconds of it that we saw where they interplay, and it's like, you were going to rescue me? I can go back inside, and you can do it anyway.
Very good, Benjamin. I like what's his face. The guy who's playing the man with the toilet seat on his head, John Cena as Peacemaker. Yeah, very good.
He's very entertaining. He is. Spoilers for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's the John Walker of this universe, by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's a real shithead. Ben, little bit of trivia for the listeners, because I assume you know this, but that's the character the comedian was based upon.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So when John, what's his name? What's the weird guy? Alan Moore. When Alan Moore was writing Watchmen as a Carlton Comics project.
Oh, yes.
It was Peacemaker who was the basis for the comedian.
Oh, I didn't know that at all, Michael.
You knew that about Watchmen, though. Didn't you? That, for example, Rorschach was the Question.
Oh, yes. No, I knew that.
Night Owl was Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
And so on.
I knew that part, but I didn't know that Peacemaker was featured.
Yeah. Peacemaker was the inspiration for the comedian.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Very good, very good. I like it. I like how comic accurate and dumb his costume is.
Yes, there's quite a few comic accurate dumb costumes.
They have your favourite actor, David Dastmalchian,
playing the Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, I think that'll be good, Ben. I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks fun and enjoyable.
Idris Elba brings his usual effortless charm to it, Michael.
I was watching it, Ben, and I was thinking, is this a superhero film or is this an ad for Sky?
It's an ad for Sky, because he'll do the
Sky
popcorn
television
dance about 5 minutes later to a jaunty Christmas jingle.
Yeah, he's no shame, Idris Elba. He'll advertise anything. He's great.
Why not, Michael? That man is making bank.
Yeah,
that man is rolling in dough.
We'd do a Sky ad.
I'd do a Sky ad in a heartbeat.
If Sky
you want me to dress up as a weird cat? Yep, pay me.
Yeah, anything. Literally anything.
Anything. The
Literally
only reason,
anything.
Michael, I haven't lost all my dignity on this bloody podcast is you don't pay.
Yeah, exactly, Ben. And also, technically we both own this podcast. I don't actually employ you.
Oh, no, I'm fully employed. Don't lie to them now, Michael.
It's too late.
I answered an advertisement 4 years ago, and it's the
no.
biggest regret of my life.
The behind the scenes has been revealed. This is how it's going to all collapse. This is how it's going to come down, crashing down like, was it Screen Junkies or what podcast? All those internet fellas.
Anything involving two white men on a podcast eventually turns very, very sour.
Oh, that's not nice. We should get Joss Whedon on. Benjamin, anyway, look, I'll watch the Suicide Squad. It'll be good. I'll enjoy it. You have the guarantee there that I'll see it.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to go see it, Michael, because I'm anything with James Gunn in it, I'm pretty much there for, Michael.
I don't know if he's in it, Ben. He's made it, you see.
He should be in it, though. We should put him in it, shouldn't we?
You should put him in it. He should be in everything. Benjamin! Yeah. Speaking of, though, things that we're looking forward to, what about things that are already here?
Things that have already arrived, Michael. The timidity returns.
The timidity, Benjamin. Okay, before we get in, Ben, there are going to be heavy spoilers here for the new show, Captain America's Friends Without Captain America.
Sam and Buck.
Sam and Buck, what's going on? Lots of stuff.
Sam and Buck, what's going on? There's a lot going on here, Michael, including... what I'm most impressed about is Marvel's tackling a big current topic in the American political landscape, which is racism and prejudicing and profiling. And not that it hasn't been a big topic for the last, however many years America's been around, Michael. Mm-hmm. But they seem to not be shying from it.
No. Probably
not
tackling more of this than you might have thought.
Yeah. We were introduced, Michael, to a character that is fascinatingly Z-list or hidden in the archives, and that's Isaiah Bradley.
Quite the bombshell, Ben. I have to say, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was expecting it probably at some stage to be looked at, but not to be dropped in the middle of this in the second episode.
Not only, Michael, does it introduce that, but we got a little glimpse of Elijah Bradley as well.
Potentially.
Who becomes quite the character if anything's to be done with this. One of the things that I find most intriguing, Michael, is that he was an incredibly effective super soldier because he took down the Winter Soldier.
Well, he beat him up, but it appears that Bucky escaped.
Yeah, but still, that's not a small feat in the universe of the MCU, because the Winter Soldier is a real heavy hitter.
Yeah,
or was. He was the boogeyman. He was the John Wick of the Marvel universe at one point.
Now he's a bit timid.
Now he's a bit timid. One of the things I completely forgot, Michael, is that Bucky is a full-on super soldier.
Oh, yeah.
So at one point when he's sprinting, I went,
Brilliant.
Wait, what? Huh?
Brilliant.
What? He's having a little jog after a truck convoy, and I was like, wait, where did that speed come? Oh, yeah. No, he is actually a fully super soldier.
If you remember in Civil War, that there was a great foot chase where Captain America, Bucky, and Black Panther were all running along outrunning cars.
Yeah.
And Bucky was usually up keeping speed with Captain America and Black Panther when they were doing their jog.
Full clip. I couldn't remember that. So I was sitting there going, what? Huh?
Yeah, he wouldn't be much use if his only power was a metal arm.
No, he wouldn't. But that was the fun moment for me where I was like, yes, of course. Of course that's how it works.
Let's briefly talk about Isaiah Bradley. You very briefly tell us who he is in the comics, or you give me a little wink and say, Mick, I haven't checked this, so why don't you do it?
No, Isaiah Bradley is the Black Captain America of the Marvel Comics universe, Michael, and he's a hidden part of history, and is used quite often to discuss that topic of the black experience versus the white experience, even in the realm of Marvel Comics, because he did have a whole history, but unfortunately his super soldierdom had detrimental effects on his health in later life.
Ben,
yes,
isn't there quite a big change in this, that in the comics Isaiah Bradley was introduced as the original, the prototype Captain America?
Oh, that's true, Michael. You're absolutely right.
There were a lot of kind of undertones of he was the black guy that they experimented on before they used the develop serum on Steve Rogers, the poster boy, white boy of World War II.
Yeah, he's the guinea pig, Michael.
Yeah, and, very unpleasant undertones in that about how black people were treated in World War II.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat missing here, because in this, he isn't pre-Steve Rogers. He appears to be post-Steve Rogers.
Yeah, Steve Rogers is still El Capitan Prima.
Yeah, he's still the original in English.
Yeah, I like the implication that Captain America is unaware of this. The original Captain America, Steve Rogers, is unaware of all this, and this is kind of Bucky's dark secret. Do you know
One
what I
of his
mean?
dark secrets, but he's full of them.
Yeah, I know. He's got stacks of them, Michael. But I quite enjoy. I like that nobody knows, and I like the outrage that Sam shows towards it. Regardless, I think a lot of that outrage is still there. Anthony Mackie can act, Michael.
I know. I keep telling you that every week, Ben. Famous actor Anthony Mackie is quite good.
But I never knew that, Michael. Anthony Mackie can act.
Oh yeah, he was Clarence in 8 Mile.
He was.
Yeah,
He was. There's a very entertaining redub of that going to 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, and it syncs up almost perfectly, the famous rap scene.
Very good. Benjamin.
Very enjoyable. Yes, go on.
Now, speaking of twists and turns,
Go on.
I thought they did a very good job of hiding the fact. We knew that truck top fight sequence was coming.
Okay.
We knew that. It was in all the trailers. We saw almost the whole fight in the trailers.
The hand masks.
But, Ben, I like that logo. I like that logo of the hand, but the palm is a globe. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Well done.
But what I was saying was, very surprising intervention from the new Captain America.
Yeah, and one of my favourite things about it, Michael, was it showed how incompetent he really kind of is. He's not a Steve Rogers at all.
Well, Ben, he's not a super soldier.
No, he's not a super soldier. So, Michael, let me bring you to a little. Well, do you want to finish your point first, and then bring you to my little supposition?
Well, my point was going to be, I thought he was very good with the old shield.
He was fairly adept with the L shield. Now, I won't take that away from him, Michael.
Very good at the shield and seems very capable, but not superpowered.
Not at all, Michael. He gets his ass handed to him at the end there. He steps up and he says, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that," and then he gets now punt off the back of the lorry.
Get off of here.
How about you go feck yourself? He can't run behind a speeding truck, Michael.
No, he won't catch it. He's only normally fast.
He's only a normal lad.
Interestingly, Ben, throws back to what we were saying last week. He has the Captain America from the comics power level.
Yes. Well, Michael, what we've been introduced here is a very possible, and this is where we're gonna play supposing the timidity.
Right.
In the comics, Michael, his powers are given to him by none other than the Power Broker.
Oh.
The Power Broker, Michael, it was originally a single individual, then it became Power Broker Inc. And in the Marvel Universe, they play a huge role in the Armor Wars issue. They're the kind of people that steal superhero technology and sell it to criminals that want to upgrade their setup.
Yeah, that give you powers.
And they give you powers. Now, we've already realised that Cassie Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers are clearly in debt to the Power Brokers because we were introduced to them in this very episode.
They're on the run, Ben.
And some of John Walker's insecurities and lack of prowess have been revealed here because he said, I really need Captain America's wingman on my side to make this go well.
Yeah.
Second interesting point. I think, Michael, at some point, he's going to make a show of himself in this series and turn to the Power Brokers to get augmented.
Yes, me too, Ben.
That is my full theory for this particular...
And I think that the power behind the Power Brokers will turn out to be the character Mephisto. Do you know him, Ben? Do you want to tell the listeners?
Jerry Seinfeld in the 80s movie, isn't he?
Exactly, Ben. Exactly.
Yeah, very good.
I agree with you on that. I think that's where it's going. I actually had a feeling watching this at the beginning that they might do a little twisty-wisty and kill him off in the first episode.
That's what I thought as well. I was sitting there going, oh, he's going to get booted off the lorry and get run over or something.
Yeah, and then the whole thing would be like, oh, maybe we won't do that anymore. Because we know that Bucky and Sam are going to get back in possession of the shield at some stage.
Because we see Sam carrying the shield in the trailer.
Yeah. So, delicious. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm quite excited. What did you think of Captain America's new Bucky?
Battlestar.
Battlestar. Imagine calling yourself Battlestar. Battlestar Galactica.
Again, that's from the comics.
Yes.
Battlestar was originally Bucky 4. Bucky 4. He was called Bucky, and he was John Walker's Bucky. That was the whole point. And then later, obviously, through identity crisis, and he's like, well, I don't want to be the fourth bookie in a line of bookies.
That's not good.
So then he became Battlestar.
Battlestar, stupid name. Terrible.
Yeah. I think this Captain America, because we learned a little bit more about his kind of Black Ops past. He seems to have a slightly Black Ops past. He seems to be a no-nonsense individual.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting. I think our prediction, Michael, of a very blind patriotism angle is probably going to come full fruition here.
Yes, but I like that so far it's operating in moral greys, Ben. That there aren't a clear baddies yet.
But see, that's one of the things that it kind of drew back from me. There's a very big switch for John Walker between, come on, join my team, work with me and Battlestar to take these guys down. Mm-hmm. And then there's the very sharp snub that he gets from Sam and Buck. And he then becomes very mean. He's just like, well, stay the hell out of my way.
Stay the hell out of my way or else I'll throw my shield at you.
But he's also very cavalier in the sense of, well, the 105-year-old man doesn't need therapy. He's too valuable an asset to have tied up.
And Ego is his dad, so that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So him and Star-Lord are half brothers, I guess, in this universe. Because it's Wyatt Russell, played by Wyatt Russell, the famous son of actor Kurt Russell.
Is it? Oh, of course it is. Oh,
yeah.
I'm an idiot.
So that's Ego. So
I'm an idiot.
He's probably also got some of those celestial powers, Ben.
I'm an idiot.
I'm just confusing the listeners. Benjamin, speaking of things that were on this week, though, there was something very exciting for you and for me, but especially for me. But also for you, but also especially for me this week.
Michael, this is Christmas.
Slightly buried on Amazon Prime, I found.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? No big splash of, look at this thing we've made.
But why?
I don't know. Because, Ben, we're talking about the new animated adult TV series, Invincible.
Invincible.
And, Ben, we will be doing some heavy spoilers for this as well.
Yeah, we're going to do episode 1, Michael, because, well, you can do episode 2 and 3 if you want. I've
seen episode 2 and 3 as well, Ben. I've watched all 3, obviously. So Invincible is a new adult animated series based on the comic by Image Comics, Ben, by Robert Kirkman.
Robert Kirkman, Ryan Otley.
And Cory Walker.
Yeah, Cory Walker. That's it. And it's a favourite of yours, Michael.
It's one of my favourites, Ben. I've got the entire collection here. Look. I've put them in frame so you can see them.
Look, they're lovely. You can see them there in frame.
12 issues, 144 issues, Ben.
144 issues of comic goodness, Michael.
So
and what
many
it is,
issues, Ben.
I suppose, Michael, is an upgrade to the traditional superhero trajectory.
Yeah, look, we talked about it before, but it's what if Spider-Man was Superman, basically. Yeah. It's what if Spider-Man was...
Pretty darn good.
And it's pretty darn good, Ben. And it has one of the most famous twists in the premise of a comic of all time.
It does.
And that twist, Ben, comes in, I think, issue 12 of the comics.
Yes.
But in this, by God and by howdy, Ben, they get it out of the way in issue 1.
Yes, but it gets some upgrade, Michael.
Oh my God, Ben. Holy moly,
upgrade.
Ben. Big spoilers coming, Ben, but Jesus H. Christ, that ending. Holy God.
So here's the interesting thing, Michael. Initially, when I was watching it, I couldn't see what the big adult hype was about. Because the entire first 40 minutes of this show, Michael, are clean.
Very clean. It's a super
very teenage
story. Yeah.
It could be on Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Except people sometimes say shit and fuck.
And I said to myself, well, what the fuck is the point in this?
Yeah.
And then, Michael...
Holy God.
Then... Holy shit.
Holy God, Ben.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, Ben. The Guardians of the Globe, Ben. They get fucked up.
But what's so interesting to me, Michael, is the effort they put in this time. The desperation that takes off. Holy fuck.
Oh my God. So sad.
So sad.
The other thing, Ben, is the Guardians of the Globe in the comic book, when they're killed off, spoilers, they are given about a page each to introduce them, and then killed off in a page.
Yeah.
But in this, it introduces a whole new opening where we get to see them working together, we get to see their powers. I watched it with my good lady friend Ben, and she said, "Oh, the Justice League! Is that one Wolverine?"
There's
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Yes, dear.
definitely Wolverine.
Yes,
yeah.
dear.
Yeah. So, but I mean, she saw the Justice League pastiche immediately and said, "Oh, they're like the Justice League." We'll leave the Wolverine thing aside for the
Yes,
moment.
very good.
But building them up as characters and seeing each of them living a little bit of their life, and then
Much
holy
worse.
moly, Ben, they got
Much worse.
Very bad, very upsetting, very upsetting.
Probably the best sequence in the entire first episode for me, Michael. Because so much of it is familiar to myself and yourself.
Yes, and anyone who knows comic, because look, it's an evil Superman is done and dusted at this stage. We've all seen it. We've all experienced it.
Yeah, we've seen this before, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy go through he must be controlled by somebody else.
Yeah, Guardians of the Globe, Ben.
Guardians of the Globe. Yeah, sorry, Guardians of the Galaxy is something else.
Something else
but yeah,
entirely.
it's I just the level of violence and visceral animation that takes place in that last 7 minutes, Michael.
Shocking,
Jesus.
Ben. Shocking and appalling. Shocking and appalling. I mean, Warrior Woman's death is one of the most viscerally unpleasant things I've ever seen in animation. Just spins her head around, and that's bad enough. And then she coughs up blood all over her own cape. Oh, no. No, thank you.
just
Very
awful.
unpleasant. Very unpleasant. And I mean, what happens to Darkwing is exactly what should happen to Batman in a fight with Superman.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
unpleasant. Yes.
So swift and painful, and
Yeah.
you could feel it. Like you were just like, oh god, God. And the Green Lantern pastiche, Michael, where her head just gets cleaved
Just punch
through.
her straight through the head. Gross and horrible, Ben. I
Jesus.
didn't like it.
And she has to hold Darkwing's pulp, because that's what it is. It's pulp.
Oh, gross and horrible. I didn't like it, Ben.
It's
So the interesting thing about the show is it's written by Kirkman.
oh, Kirkman.
And Kirkman at this stage, Ben, is both a very experienced comic book writer and a very experienced TV show writer.
Dab hand.
And, you know, it is very much Invincible. There are some scenes which are just lifted straight from the comics. And it's actually a little bit funny to see some of the scenes that are traditionally Corey Walker scenes done in this animation, which is a bit more Ryan Otley style animation.
It's very Otley.
It's very Otley. It's a little bit cheap, though. I found the characters a little bit lacking in expression.
It's janky on occasion.
It's no Disney.
It also hasn't been edited to the best of its ability. There are a few lingering shots that don't make a lot of sense. We occasionally see Mark smile at the end of a sequence where you could just as easily move on to the next sequence. That's a purely editing gripe. It's not really fair on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I find the character animation a little flat. So often the actors are really emoting or making like reaction sounds, and the animated faces don't move.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, it's beautifully. In stills, it is a comic book.
It is like reading an issue of Invincible.
But it doesn't. The animation isn't quite as vivid as, not vivid, that's the wrong word. The animation isn't quite as fluid as I'd like. It's not quite as expressive as you'd want, especially with the performances that the actors are doing.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah. J.K. Simmons,
Chef's
delicious. Gillian Jacobs is in it.
Sandra
Zazie
Oh.
Beetz, Sandra Oh, Stephen
Sandra
Yeun.
Oh.
Ben, I mean, the cast is incredible.
Huge.
Spectacular, Ben. Every time a new character comes in, you go, holy God, that's Seth Rogen for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, not as expressive as I think I would have liked. But that's not my point. My point is, Robert Kirkman is becoming quite the expert in getting a second go of writing his oeuvres again.
Yeah.
Because this is Invincible. But it's also not Invincible. It's not the original first story.
One of the things I found most interesting, Michael, and I think something that maybe is a sign that Kirkman is very aware of this being his second time around, Science Dog is gone.
He's been replaced by Seance Dog.
What's that about?
Brilliant. Love it. Love that having a little twist.
But a seance is your second chance, Michael. I mean, if we're going deep reading here, buddy.
Oh, very clever, very good.
I mean,
very clever, very good. But because of the fact that this is a second go around for him. Very deep spoilers here. Very, very, very deep spoilers. This is for people who have read every issue of Invincible and intend to watch every episode of this series. So that's how deep these spoilers are going. So if you don't want to listen to this, don't listen, because this is going to ruin it. Okay. But in the comics, Ben, as you remember, Omni-Man
from Swords
turns out to have been a little bit conflicted about this whole situation.
Not great.
And, he comes back to the side of the goodies.
He does.
He's redeemed from his acts of Aboldi later on.
Yes, he is.
And in the comics, I never liked his redemption. Because the whole twist of him being the villain was so clearly and beautifully done that the redemption and twist that he didn't really want to do it later on, I felt was unearned.
Yeah, I'd say no comic in my memory ever got me quite as good as that.
Yeah. But this, because it's a go-around and you have the benefit of hindsight and some time to work in a bit of extra subtlety, this gives hints that it's not exactly what he wanted to do. He's a bit more remorseful here, a bit more considered. In the comic, when he kills them, he's making quips about he never liked them anyway.
Yeah, he's a real dick.
Yeah, he's a real dick, and he's standing victorious over their bodies, covered in blood with a smirk, like, ha ha ha. But in this, it's a lot more, this is something I kind of have to do because Mark has come of age.
And it takes a lot out of him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Omni-Man's not as powered as he is in the comic.
He catches them off guard a lot more in the comic.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Thought, he just decapitates all of them in one fell swoop in the comic.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
In this, I thought the depiction of Red Rush's superpowers were one of the best depictions of a speedster fighting a Superman that we've ever seen.
Yeah. He's mostly a frustration for Omni-Man.
Yeah, and if he hadn't, this is way too deep into nerd talk, but if Red Rush hadn't tried to engage him directly, they might have won.
Yeah.
If Red Rush had just protected the team and let the heavier hitters actually try and damage him, they might have won.
I think that's what makes it such a gut punch when he gets caught as well.
Yeah.
That scene's gonna live in my memory. That's in my nightmares now.
Oh, gross!
The head pop is just.
It was. I mean, I know they have a head pop in common, but it was up there for upsettingness with the famous Game of Thrones Viper versus the Mountain fight.
Yeah,
it was like, oh no, this is very nasty, very unpleasant. Who's going to look after that girl that the Martian was looking after?
Why did they introduce a small blonde orphan?
Yeah. Who's gonna be a fish now?
I like that they introduced his weakness as well in that scene, though, the little red dot.
Yeah, very clever. Anyway,
very interesting. Fascinating, Michael, to be honest.
I thoroughly enjoyed it and will be looking forward to it, and I will be sitting down and watching. It is going to be my new Saturday morning show. I'm so excited.
Oh, good for you, Michael. Good for you.
I feel it's as good as The Boys, so I'll be looking forward to it every Saturday.
I think that's fair. I think you're being... Isn't it interesting that comics are getting a second go-around on Amazon? Amazon seems to be the channel for independent comics getting their time to shine.
Amazon are our new heroes.
Well, there's the global practice, which is kind of messy.
Yeah, that's not great.
Speaking of, Michael, deception.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Most foul, Michael.
Yeah.
Where you think you can trust somebody and then all of a sudden they're popping your head because you're a hindrance.
Yeah, like the Chinese government.
Oh, fuck.
Allegedly.
Wow.
Allegedly. Only in that one province. Allegedly.
Oh, wow. I don't know where to go from here, Michael. You've scuppered me. Off-color political references aside, Michael, I don't know what to do now. You've thrown me.
Do your segue. Do your segue, Ben.
Speaking of tricky bastards, Michael, it's April Fool's Day in a couple of days' time, and so in honour of that, what we've done is we're doing one of our classic Tricksters and Chansters episodes, Michael. One of our classic Tricksters and Chansters episodes.
Excellent. I like those, Ben. What the hell do you mean about Tricksters and Chancers?
Yeah, so Michael, if you're a fan of the elf folklore mythology like we here at the podcast are,
yes,
you'll know that there's a couple of archetypes that pop up in every story, and these were largely documented and written down by noted crackpot Carl Jung. And he kind of came up with a whole series of archetypes that you can find in different stories, and then those were taken on by writers, and they were turned into their own thing as well, most famously by Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey, where he set out the 12 steps that any writer should take to make a really good story.
Oh, yes.
So he used a combination of Jungian psychology and narratology, which is what it's called, the study of how stories are built. And he came up with these different things. And one of the most constant, Michael, and most enjoyable in all fiction, be it from 3,000 years ago or yesterday afternoon when you were watching Invincible for the first time.
Yes.
Is the Trickster. And the Trickster has a lot of different characteristics. But two noted academics, Michael, came up with the 6 main traits that help you to identify a trickster in a story that you're reading, and it's by 2 academics known as Hines and Doty, and I can't remember their first names, but it's going to drive me mad.
Okay, probably something to do with beans.
More than likely, Michael. Very witty.
Yeah.
So,
Polka.
Mythical Trickster Figures was released in 1997. Yes.
Ben. Polka. Polka Dotty.
I hate you. It's not Uyghur jokes, it's polka dot jokes. It's really hard to keep up with where your sense of humor's at. That face is so punchable at the minute.
I'm doing my Keira Knightley face.
Yes, I can see it. It's just mad. It's just mad. And I'm going to subject viewers to it as well now. Because I've screenshot that as well. Yeah. Cook. Anyway. They released a book called Mythical Trickster Figures in 1997. It was a really in-depth look, but they kind of outlined the 6 traits that make a trickster a trickster. And they are as follows, Michael. Okay. Number 1, they are fundamentally ambiguous and anomalous. Now, that sounds a bit vague, Michael, but ambiguous means that their allegiance isn't really clearly defined. They don't really ever pick one particular side. And anomalous means they don't fit in the rest of the pantheon or canon that they exist within. Very often, Michael, a trickster will have a genuine personality or sense of humor or human emotions that we don't see in other gods. And it's quite an interesting thing to see. Number 2 is that they are inherently, Michael, a deceiver or a trick player. Now, that can be towards a goal, but more often than not, Michael, it's done for pure sport. They simply enjoy pulling one over on other people. It's what they do. And it's the key characteristic, I suppose, that defines them. Generally speaking, Michael, they are shapeshifters or masters of disguise.
They'll be wearing a different costume.
They'll be wearing a different costume, and that's going to come up later on, Michael. Well done, excellent little Chekhov's gun there, Chekhov's shapeshifter on the table. They are a situation inverter. Now, this is a really interesting one, Michael. They break your plots. And the most famous example of that would be, Michael, Q from Star Trek.
Oh, I'm going to talk about him.
You are, Michael, but if you look at that from a logical point of view, the Enterprise is a very tip-top ship-shape kind of organization, Michael.
Finest ship in Starfleet.
Unless, John Picard's a bit of a pull-up his arse on occasion. And,
excuse me, hold on a second. Who?
Jean-Luc Picard. Whatever that weird space thing that you watch is.
Jean-Luc to you. Do not call him John Picard.
John
Ever
Pickard.
again. Ever. Jean-Luc Picard.
I want to do a Deep South version of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Funnily enough, Ben, Jean-Luc Picard is a joke that Q makes.
Damn it. Okay, we'll come back to it then. Hang on. Just let me get you my last two. Two. He's a messenger and imitator of the gods. So he's a real piss taker. He speaks truth to power. And he likes to make fun of gods and things like that. I suppose the best example of that in modern pop culture, Michael, would be the trickster from Supernatural.
Oh, this asshole.
But we don't have to touch too much on him, Michael, because we've done him before. But then finally, Michael, he's He's sacred and lewd bricoleur. Now, that's a really interesting phrase, right?
For one thing, Ben, I don't know what it means.
Well, bricoleur, Michael, is the French art of combining stuff that shouldn't go together.
Oh, right.
It's bricolage, as you might know it from artistic movements, and then bricoleur is kind of paraphernalia that goes together. So sacred and lewd at the same time. Generally, trickster gods do have rituals in their name, and they take them rather seriously for themselves, but they take great joy, Michael, in being lewd towards other gods in their rituals. And that's one of the key things. Trickster gods are generally quite capricious and have quite a high opinion of themselves and don't like it when they are deceived in turn.
So they show Zeus their balls and go, Zeus, look at my balls.
Look at my balls. But then if Zeus goes, and he slaps them with his balls in the face, then they won't like that at all. They'll be like, oh no, a ball slap. Oh, you got me, Zeus, you dick. And that's really a lot of the ones that we had. So we put this out to the listeners, Michael.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. We put this out to the listeners, and we got one or two responses, Michael. I'll be honest, it was more one than two, but we still appreciate it. So, from Nuada Designs on Instagram, they gave us their attention. They said, "Mr. Mixelpitalik from
that
Superman."
little prick.
That little prick.
Mixed you might as well throw in Batmite as well while you're at it.
Batmite's in there as well. Michael. Now that, Michael, is a deep DC cut close to my heart. Mr. Mixelpitalik is an imp from the fifth dimension.
Right. Fascinating.
And he is, in every sense, matches all 6 of our criteria there, Michael. He's, number 1, fundamentally ambiguous and anomalous. He's not really good or bad.
Yeah.
And he's anomalous in the sense that he only appears when he feels like it. He doesn't have any great... he's a classic villain of Superman, Michael.
Yes.
And in a perfect sense is a deceiver or trick player, because what he would do is he would come along, Michael, and he would change something in Metropolis or alter one particular aspect of Superman's physiology. So it makes him a situation inverter in a very intense way. He might come along and give Jimmy Olsen the powers of Superman, for example, or he might come along and make Superman fat. Or he might come along and turn all the citizens in Metropolis to Superman haters.
Oh, classic.
So in that way, he's a deceiver and a trickster, and he inverts all situations in a terrible way. It makes it very difficult for Superman. He is a shapeshifter and master of disguise. He came in a lot of different forms and things. Very often, Michael, when a writer would create kind of a one-off supervillain and they didn't know how to end the story, you know, if they made a very powerful supervillain that Superman couldn't beat, and they didn't really know how to end the story, they'd be like, "Oh, it was Mr. Mixelpitalik all along.
It was him all along, and look at his funny hat.
Look at his funny little hat." He was famously voiced, Michael, by Gilbert Gottfried on the Superman animated series, which is an inspired piece of voice casting, to be honest.
Yes, very good. Probably the best of all time.
Yeah, just really solid stuff. It's up there with Joker Mark Hamill. But he is a messenger and imitator of the gods in that he would quite often mimic other superheroes or create other superheroes to contend with Superman. And finally, he's sacred and lewd in the fact that he does have a ritual that gets rid of him, which is that you have to convince him to say his own name backwards.
Which is?
Cliptism.
Gotcha, you son of a bitch.
Got me. Oh, no! 4 years on this.
Thanks for
grind,
listening,
and
ladies and
you got
gentlemen.
me.
That's the end of the podcast.
So that's what it is. You have to convince him to say his own name backwards, and that removes him. So he's a perfect example of a trickster archetype, and it couldn't have been better. So thank you very much, Nuada Designs.
And also, I got you, Ben, you son of a bitch.
You got me.
I don't know how many of them Q matches, but I think probably most.
Go on.
But just like off the top of my head, so I watched a couple of episodes of Q from Star Trek The Next Generation. Ben, are you familiar with him?
Yes, with John Luke Pickard.
With John Luke Pickard, Ben. He's played by John Delancey, the great John Delancey.
Yes.
I was going to say the late great John Delancey, but I'm not sure if he's still alive or not.
He's still alive.
That. And
he was in an episode of Lower Decks, Michael.
He was in an episode of Lower Decks, and very mistreated in that episode of Lower Decks.
Yeah, he's just ignored.
Yeah. Very interesting. Lower Decks. Get out of here. Anyway, what was I saying?
Go on.
He is Ben. Okay, so going by your little list there, he's definitely anomalous.
Yes. Okay.
Because Star Trek is a science fiction world, a pretty hard science fiction world.
Hard sci-fi.
So, things make sense. We know how the warp drive works. We know how far things are apart. We know who our enemies are and what they can do and what culture and abilities they have. And then you have Q, who'll just show up in an episode unexpectedly and act the prick, and he can break the rules of the universe. He can do whatever he wants.
All of them.
Yeah. He also has, what was the one you were saying about situation inverters?
He inverts situations, so he changes the regular run of things.
So the Enterprise will be, Ben, for example, on a routine star mapping expedition, and Q will show up with a point to prove, and he'll teleport them across the universe into some horrible situation.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, Q, you've inverted our situation here quite unpleasantly.
Is
there any chance you'll send us back, you son of a bitch?
Aha, only if you prove to me that humanity is worth saving.
That's what he does. That's what he does, Ben. He's like, show me that humanity is worth saving and then I'll send you back, because he's essentially omnipotent. Like everything in Star Trek, Ben, like everything in bloody in this genre that we hold so beloved to our hearts, Ben, they explain him into the ground eventually. And they give him a culture. They make him unanomalous. They reveal that he's part of a continuum of Qs. That within the continuum of Qs, Ben, he is the troublemaker. He is the trickster. And there are other Qs who are more orderly and more focused. And they expel him, Ben. And they get out of here. You're too much trouble. Go live on the Enterprise and redeem yourself. Whereupon he has to. But anyway, Ben, the ultimate best episode that Q appears in is called Q Who.
Okay.
And Captain Picard's just having a normal day.
Okay.
He gets in the turbo lift, Ben, or as we would call it, the lift. And why would they call it a turbo lift, Ben? It doesn't make any sense.
This is turbo.
Yeah, but it's still just a lift. Why wouldn't they just say get in the lift?
Star Trek lift.
They he gets in the turbo lift, Ben, and he ends up on a shuttle, light years from the Enterprise. That doesn't make any sense.
What?
What has happened, Ben? It's your favourite trickster, Q.
You'll Chancellor Q.
And Q is like, all right, Picard, look, let me be on your crew. I want to be on your crew. And Picard's like, you are bloody next of kin to chaos, you son of a bitch. We won't be having you.
That's good.
And he
that
goes,
was a good John Luke Pickard impression.
Thank you very much. Logan, we can't have him on the ship, Logan. My lady friend was watching it with me and she says, is that Wolverine? And I'm like, no, different.
No, dear.
So he goes, all right then, well look, if you're not going to let me be on your crew, wickety bickety doom, and off they go into deep space, Ben, where they encounter the Borg.
Oh, not the Borg.
And they can't beat the Borg. They don't know what to do about the Borg. And as a side note from this, Ben, the Q introducing the Borg into Star Trek is probably one of the best 30 minutes of science fiction you'll ever see in your life.
Is he the introduction?
Yes.
Oh, what?
So Captain Picard is like, we'll go into space, Q, and we'll meet aliens, and we will preserve, and we will overcome, and we will have the spirit of the Federation, and William Riker will be there, and he's mostly useless, but look, we've put Deanna Troi in a nice tight outfit, isn't that good? And Q is like, no, it's no use, off you go now, have a look at this and tell me what you think. And then they introduce the Borg, Ben, and the Borg are utterly terrifying.
Yes, they break all the rules, Michael.
They break all the rules, Ben. You can't laser them, you can't outrun them, you can't defeat them, you can't reason with them. There's nothing Picard in all his skills can do to stop the Borg.
You can be assimilated.
You can be assimilated, but not in this episode. And it's utterly terrifying, Ben. It's utterly, utterly terrifying, the Borg.
That's
it's one of the greatest introductions of a villain in science fiction history. I strongly suggest, even if you're not a Star Trek fan, to watch the episode Q Who.
Okay, anyway, I'm going to have to check that out.
It's great, Ben. When you first see a Borg, they play a Borg theme. And something I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is the Borg theme is very much the Alien Invaders theme from Jeff Wayne's The War of the Worlds.
Get out of town.
Yeah, have a listen. Have a listen.
I will have a listen.
Have a listen. Have a watch. But anyway, Ben, Borg introduction aside, here's my point about what makes Q a little bit different.
Go on.
Especially from Mr. Mixelpicklick. And it is that Mr. Mxyzptlk always flipping loses.
True.
But in this episode, Q wins.
Yeah, because
the great and noble and honourable Captain Jean-Luc Picard has to say to Q, we need your help.
All
We
right,
are
you
out of our
bastard.
depth. All right, we need... What do you want me to say? We need your help, Q. We're out of our depth. Send us back where there's no more Borgs. And then Q does it. And he's like, I bloody told you. You should have listened to me. But you didn't.
See? Dickheads.
Yeah.
Dickheads.
Should have listened to me, your mate Q.
That's interesting, Michael.
And he very rarely loses in his initial appearances. Later shows obviously then, gradually bring him down.
Oh.
But in those early episodes, he's a fascinating force, and especially that episode. That episode is a double whammy of one of the best omnipotent trickster villains and one of the most terrifying, unstoppable forces coming from outside the galaxy to get us.
Oh, good.
Delicious. And it also has an entirely unnecessary added character who we've never seen before or since, played by the lady with the 3 breasts from Total Recall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she plays an ensign who spills coffee on Captain Picard, and you're thinking this must be going somewhere, but it isn't.
It isn't. She never comes back again.
I think she's in the next couple of episodes, but she never does anything useful.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame
Anyway,
for her.
Q, one of the best tricksters.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Michael. That was an excellent argument on that particular thing.
Is there any more, Ben?
Well, I mean, you get a lot of interesting ones, Michael. There's more animated ones. They've been a huge part of animated tradition since animation really took off back in the day. We had characters like Felix the Cat or Oswald the Rabbit or Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny. All of those characters are tricksters. Now, perhaps not to the same extent as each other, but fundamentally the big line that goes with a lot of tricksters, especially if you stick to the Jungian theory, is a transgressor of boundaries.
Oh.
And
They might dress up as a lady.
might dress up as a lady, Michael, exactly. So if you're looking at Bugs Bunny and you want to look at it from that perspective, he follows all of our list as well, Michael. He follows all of our list as well. He is fundamentally ambiguous and anomalous, because in the middle of hunting season there's a talking rabbit. I mean, it
Why is he
doesn't
so
get much...
big?
Huh?
Why is he so big?
I don't know. There's something wrong with the carrots.
That doesn't make sense. He's so big.
Yeah. Or bloody Elmer Fudd is so small, which is even weirder.
Yeah, that's even weirder. A small, rabbit-sized man.
He is a deceiver and trick player, especially in his earlier appearances. So it's interesting that you put that on, Michael, because you said about Q that he gets kind of diluted in later episodes. It's the exact
Very
same
much
thing
so.
with Bugs Bunny. The initial Bugs Bunny is a dick.
Yeah, he's no use.
Bugs Bunny's not a nice guy. He's a Brooklyn wise ass, and he's kind of a dick. He's a shapeshifter and master of disguise. He plays Brunhilde in the opera. He plays the Barber of Seville in another one. He plays a woman in countless iterations.
He's a sexy bunny lady.
And it's a huge part of who he is. He's a situation inverter. He'll very often remove Elmer Fudd from whatever situation they're in and stick them in a brand new situation. They could end up in a milkshake shop where Bugs Bunny drowns him in milkshakes, or they could end up in a barber's chair where Bugs Bunny gives him a strange bloody haircut. It's bizarre, Michael, but it does work. He appears in unusual situations. There's a famous episode of Looney Tunes where he directs an entire orchestra. Because he found his way there by mistake, and so he turns the orchestra into kind of a mockery of itself. It's fascinating. And then following from that, Michael, he's an imitator of the gods. He very often meets characters who are much more powerful than he is and makes fun of them. And then finally, Michael, in that last one, he's sacred and lewd bricoleur. He becomes very human in later iterations. He gets an awful lot of pathos and becomes kind of a beleaguered, tragic figure in certain episodes. It's bizarre.
And he's always going, look at my balls.
Look at my balls, and he'll slap you in the face and run away. But that character was embodied by countless iterations. Woody the Woodpecker, Felix the Cat. All of those early cartoon heroes are tricksters. That's what they are. They fundamentally exist in that space. Then, Michael, there's some more unusual ones that you probably wouldn't think of. If I was to tell you that the Doctor from Doctor Who is a trickster, you'd go, no, he's a good guy. But that's a fundamental misunderstanding of tricksters. They're not bad guys. They're just not
They're
anything.
ambiguous. They're ambiguous, Ben.
They're ambiguous. But the Doctor is a fantastic example of a thing, particularly in the area of situation inverter. Doctor Who either comes into your normal northern town in England, and really stir shit up, or he'll find his way into the middle of a bloody big alien conspiracy and he'll wreck that for people.
Yeah, or he'll show up on a planet where everyone happily lives in some sort of weird system that doesn't make any sense and go, what are y'all living like this for?
This isn't the way you should live.
Have you ever seen this thing? It's a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah. He's a shapeshifter by inherent... Oh, look, there's a little light. Look, there's a little light. Ah. He's a shapeshifter inherently by his iterations. He has his regeneration that happens every cycle. He is sacred and lewd in how he chooses his companions, how he chooses which gods to respect and which cultures not to respect. Because he does that quite a bit, Michael. Sometimes he'll tell his companion, "Now these are good people. So don't do anything silly. All right." Don't be doing that. And then other times,
I like how you've gone with your own doctor there. You haven't done any particular one.
Make my own. He's just a normal lad down the pub.
His name's
and then
Ian.
other times,
Ian, the doctor.
And then other times, Michael, he'll scream at a god and he'll be like, "Oh, you big bastard!
Yeah, I don't care that you're the devil. What are you doing on this planet
anyway?" Oh, woo. And we have a lot of that. So the Doctor's a great example of that, Michael. As we go along, he is a deceiver and trick player. He'll quite often use tricksy wordplay to get around the Daleks. He'll kind of confuse your prime directive if you're a Cyberman. You know, there's a lot of that going on, Michael. So he's a great example of a trickster.
He'll travel back in time and then live throughout the entire history of the universe just to come out a door behind you and go, "Bah!
Ah, gotcha!
You thought I was over there, but I actually went back in time 4 billion years, lived 4 billion years of life, and then snuck up behind you and went, blah!
Blah! There's a great sketch from, I think, around 1998, and where Rowan Atkinson for Red Nose Day plays the Doctor.
Yes, it's very good.
And it's exactly that premise where they just live out the time it takes them to do something. Because they both lose their TARDISes and they have to just live through the events. And it's really interesting. But yeah, one of my favorite overlooked trickster archetypes, Michael. I think that brings us to a close, Michael. Does it? It does.
Or does it, Ben? Blah!
Ah! Oh, you got me, you son of a bitch.
It's only the start of the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've only managed to get through a mere handful of tricksters. I'm sure you have more that you'd like to tell us about. You can get in touch with us in the following ways.
Ben,
yes,
everyone should go and watch Q Who.
Go watch Q Who.
It even works as a standalone thing. You don't need to know anything about Star Trek. You don't need to know anything. And it has a fascinating backstory, Ben, of being accidentally created.
Lads, go watch Q Who. That's all we're going to tell you this week.
Do you want to hear it? No, do you want to hear it for a minute? I'll tell you for a minute.
Go on,
tell me. So the season 1 season finale, Ben, was supposed to be about Federation outposts disappearing along the Romulan neutral zone.
Oh, no, not the Romulan
and the Enterprise is
zone.
sent to investigate. This is meant to be, Ben. The Enterprise was sent to investigate, and the Enterprise finds all these missing outposts that have been just whole hog ripped out of the ground and gone. And the Romulans show up and they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" And they're like, "We're here to check this out." And the Romulans are saying, "You better fucking not be doing any messing." And they're going, "No, we're not doing any messing." And
this is the RNZ, baby.
Yeah. And the Romulans are saying, or as they call it, the Federation neutral zone. And the Romulans are like, "No, you're messing because some of our outposts have gone missing." And the humans are, the Federation are like, "No, our outposts have missing too, and we think it's you." And the Romulans are like, "No, we're pretty sure it's you. We're going to shoot you with our phasers."
Gotcha.
And then, Ben, the Borg show up.
Oh, no.
And the Romulans and the Federation are like, "Well, we'll team up and beat them up." But then the Borg beat them both up and they're terrified and they run away.
Fair.
And that's what was supposed to happen. But there was a writer's strike in 1987 and they didn't get to finish that episode.
Brilliant.
So that episode became a kind of Cold War stalemate episode about the Romulans investigating the Federation and the Federation investigating the Romulans and trying not to go to war. But it was never resolved who was destroying the outposts. And then they had to go, "Shit, we've missed our chance to introduce the Borg and they're supposed to be kind of the major plot point for the next couple of years. What are we going to do?" So they went, "Let's just have Q show up and teleport them there."
Class.
So it was like an act of necessity that they somewhat lazily had Q just show up and introduce the Borg instead of introducing them organically. And they accidentally created what might be one of the best hours of science fiction television of all time.
So Q is quite literally a messenger of the gods if we take the writers of the show to be the gods in this particular case.
Oh, that's on the nose, Ben. That's on the nose. I'm going to give you some sonic screwdriver for that.
I quite like that, Michael. That was an excellent reason to interrupt my wrap-up. Go watch that. That's all I'm going to tell you.
It's great.
Go watch that episode. Tell us what you think of it at www.seanrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
Or give us a shout in the old Instagram at Sean Rabeag, SEOMRABEAG.
Still kind of means tiny room in Irish.
And you can join us next week, ladies and gentlemen, where there'll be more spacey-wacy goodness and we talk about our dream space crew.
Oh, we're doing that, are we? Brilliant.
Yeah, we're making an amalgam space crew from all your favourite captains, second mates, bloody rough and toughers, whatever you like from your favourite sci-fi shows. I'm going to put them all in one spaceship and send them across the galaxy.
So, Ben, are we going to kind of have a look at the themes and tropes of who makes up a crew and then pick our favourite of each of those?
Michael, I think you know we are.
Oh, that's very exciting, Ben. I'll try to make sure that mine aren't just all sexy ladies. I can't promise, but I'll try. I'll try, Ben. No promises, though. Okay, bye. See you next week in space.